For decades, the enchanting beauty and tumultuous life of Marilyn Monroe have remained a captivating subject for filmmakers, writers, and playwrights. Over 60 years since the actress's passing, she is still remembered as a symbol of beauty of her era, a sex bomb with a fragile and lonely soul. According to Time, Marilyn Monroe was the daughter of a woman named Gladys Pearl Baker. As a child, Marilyn never met her father and only lived with her mother until Gladys experienced a mental breakdown and was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1934. Marilyn Monroe's mother lived in a mental institution, while the young girl wandered through various orphanages. In the book Marilyn Monroe, The Private Life of a Public Icon by Charles Cassillo, the author reveals that the actress experienced abuse at the age of 8 while living in a foster home. Her turbulent life led Marilyn to make the decision to marry at the age of 16. She married James Doherty in 1942 to avoid living in uncertainty and instability. In 1945, Marilyn Monroe worked at a factory. She caught the eye of photographer David Conover and received an offer to work as a model. The photographs became a launching pad that caught the attention of filmmakers. From there, Marilyn's arduous life took on a new chapter. Her marriage fell apart as she pursued a career as a model. With her charming smile, seductive and captivating beauty, she quickly became a sought-after name in Hollywood. However, the painful memories of her childhood made Marilyn insecure and vulnerable. She once wrote in her memoir, "I really feel as though I have nothing on, but my cheap little dress inside. I want to learn, change, and progress to the extent that I can." The young girl relentlessly strived to become the person she yearned to be, a beautiful, talented, and beloved movie star. The actress changed her name to Marilyn Monroe and dyed her hair platinum blonde. Complicated personal life and numerous tragedies. At the height of her fame, Marilyn Monroe married baseball player Joe DiMaggio in 1954. However, their marriage only lasted for 9 months due to Joe's frequent jealousy and discomfort with his wife's fame. The pinnacle of their conflict came during the filming of The 7-Year Itch. The scene took place outside a theater in New York, where Marilyn held down her dress as a gust of wind blew up. The gesture revealed her thigh and underwear, creating an iconic moment in Hollywood cinema. That night, Marilyn Monroe and her husband had a heated argument at a hotel. They divorced after 2 months because Joe DiMaggio couldn't accept the constant attention and desire from other men towards his wife. In 1956, Marilyn Monroe married for the 3rd time to playwright Arthur Miller. She put her film career on hold to focus on her family, but the marriage still didn't bring her happiness. Despite her desire to have children, the actress experienced 3 painful miscarriages. While at the pinnacle of her career, Marilyn Monroe tragically passed away suddenly on the morning of August 5, 1962, in her California home. Her death was ruled as a suicide, but it didn't satisfy her fans. Throughout her short life, Marilyn Monroe always faced anxiety and loneliness. In her final years, Monroe sank into alcohol addiction, chronic insomnia, mental disorders, and stage fright. The emotional wounds and sexual abuse she experienced left her constantly fearful and melancholic. On her last day before passing away, Marilyn continuously made phone calls to her loved ones, expressing her unstable emotional state and discussing romantic matters. The biographical film Blonde, depicting the life of Marilyn Monroe, will be released at the end of September, marking the 60th anniversary of her death on August 4, 1962. Over half a century, Marilyn Monroe's legacy still exists and thrives. The actress is referenced in thousands of advertisements, ranging from fashion and cars to food and beverages. The name Marilyn Monroe is given to a skyscraper in Ontario, Canada. Her face, style, and hairstyle have become inspiration for countless visual artworks, including caricatures, photo montages, and digital prints. In the book, The Guide to United States Popular Culture, by Ray B. Brown and Pat Brown, Marilyn Monroe is referred to as an American icon. They write, "No star has ever evoked so many different emotions, from desire to sympathy, from envy to pity." Vanity Fair recently compiled information about the final days of the Hollywood icon, based on various authentic sources and testimonies from living witnesses. Not long before her death, Marilyn told British journalist W.J. Weatherby, "Do you know what I live on? Not the public, not friends. The telephone. That's my closest friend." In the last week of her life, Marilyn constantly used the telephone. She had 2 phones, one pink and one white. Some were for business purposes, while others were used to communicate with her loved ones. Both phones had long cords, allowing Marilyn to wander around the house and listen to conversations. She was caught up in planning new projects, preparing to fly from Los Angeles to New York for discussions about a musical play. Most people who interacted with Marilyn during this time said that her spirits seemed high. During this period, many believed that she was deeply involved in a love affair with former U.S. President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Psychic Kenny Kingston, who had advised the actress for many years, recalled her excitedly talking about love, saying, "That's the immortality we have. Without it, what does life mean?" In the final week, Marilyn made phone calls to close friends and acquaintances. She called her real estate agent, Arthur James, and shared her story about Robert Kennedy cutting off their relationship, but she couldn't forget him. She also called a renowned Hollywood obstetrician, Dr. Leon Crone, and talked about losing a child. It's unclear whether she had an abortion or a miscarriage. On Friday, August 3, 1962, a day before her death, Marilyn called her longtime close friend, Anne Carger. She expressed her love and desire to marry Robert Kennedy. Carger advised her not to indulge in fantasies. On the same day, she called Robert Slatzer, another friend, and said she had tried to contact Robert Kennedy in Washington, but received no response. Marilyn then sought out actor Peter Lawford, Kennedy's brother-in-law, for assistance. FBI documents indicate that Kennedy flew to California with his family that day. Marilyn attempted to leave messages for him at the hotel but received no reply. Early Saturday morning, August 4, 1962, Marilyn called actress Jean Carmen, distraught, and invited her to come over for drinks. Carmen revealed that Marilyn had received disturbing phone calls throughout the previous night. A woman continuously warned her not to bother Robert Kennedy. Later that morning, Marilyn was visited by hairstylist Agnes Flanagan. At the same time, she received a package. Flanagan noted that Marilyn seemed melancholic when she opened the package and found a stuffed tiger inside. In the photos taken of Marilyn's house the next morning, the item was seen discarded near the swimming pool. Around 4:30 p.m., she called her psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson. They met at Marilyn's house, and he left around 7 p.m. According to him, Marilyn was angry because she couldn't reach an important person that day. Between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., fashion designer Henry Rosenfeld called Marilyn from New York. He felt she seemed slightly disoriented, but nothing seemed unusual. At 9:30 p.m., Marilyn called Sidney Gilleroff, a hairstylist who had worked with her on 8 films. Gilleroff kept the details of their conversation secret for many years, only revealing it in his memoir shortly before his own death. Gilleroff wrote, "Marilyn called me in despair. She spoke vaguely about danger and the betrayal of powerful men." Marilyn intended to hold a press conference to reveal all the secrets and then hang up without saying goodbye. Another person who spoke with Marilyn Monroe on that fateful evening was Mexican screenwriter José Bolaños. She confided in him about her intention to make a shocking announcement that would shake the world. Marilyn's massage therapist, Ralph Roberts, received a phone call from a woman with a stuttering voice, whom he believed to be Marilyn. There were no further conversations, and the star passed away shortly before midnight. To this day, many detectives, journalists, filmmakers, and authors have put forth various hypotheses and suspicions surrounding Marilyn Monroe's death. James Doyle, a former high-ranking FBI official, revealed that the recordings of the actress's phone calls were erased immediately after her death. 2 decades later, ABC Channel invested a significant amount of money in a documentary film about Marilyn's relationship with the Kennedy brothers, but it was cancelled at the last minute. The Conversation publication states, the actress died in 1962, but from that moment, a legend was born. Her life created a movie star, but it was her death that made Marilyn Monroe an immortal icon.